Hello, my name is David, and I'm making this quick map tools video to discuss the right-click menu. In several forum postings, in one in particular, Token Menu Redesign, there was some discussion about what to do with the right-click menu in future versions of map tools. Maybe get a little more complex with it, build it up so that it works better with scripts and with macros. Because there's going to be a lot of scripts and a lot of macros. Those menus are going to get really big. You're also going to want to have some kind of organization to organize scripts into different categories. So what I thought I would do is I would fire up my 3D Studio, which I use pretty much every day, and show you what 3D Studio does. Now, it's a lot more complex in 3D Studio than what map tools would need to be, but it is very customizable, and I think it's something to definitely take a look at. In 3D Studio there is something which is known as the quad menu. Let me get this screen cleared here for a second, and then I'll bring up a quad menu. If I right click in any viewport, I get the standard quad menu. In this case, the standard quad menu is actually a tri menu. Notice that there's a menu that goes down, there's a menu that goes up, there's one to the left at the top, and there is one left to the bottom, which in this case there is not a menu. First off, you'll notice that each of these menus is actually labeled, and that label is customizable. You can change that label. Now, everything in this menu is customizable. You can change its position. You can change the name. You can change the command. You can group them exactly how you would like them. There's also a couple of interesting things. You'll notice this little icon over here. Let me bring something up here on the screen so you can see what this is going to do here. I have to go over to my other screen here, and I'll just put a sphere up here. Okay. Now, if I right-click, while that object is selected, I get its right-click menu. Notice that if I move over here, there's actually two options here. There's the move, which simply gave me the mover, and if I want to rotate, it would give me the rotator. But if I go over to this one here, it brings up a type-in box, which allows me to do this by exact coordinates. That's kind of nice. It's basically the same command, but there's two different ways to drive it. Now, I don't know if there's a place for that in map tools. Maybe there is, but it is kind of slick the way that works. Now, these right-click menus are context-sensitive. So depending upon where you're at in the program, what options you have selected, what items you have selected, different menus will appear. And there are multiple right-click menus, besides just being context sensitive. There are menus that can bring up a specific set of tools, like modeling or animation. For instance, if I highlight this object by clicking on it, and I right-click on it, but I hold the Shift key, I get the Snap menu. Notice that you have the types of options that you would have in a normal right-click menu with the check marks. Now, something I should point out about this menu is once I held the Shift key and hit right-click, I do not have to hold the right button any longer. This menu stays up until I click on a free space in the viewport. So I'm not holding the right button while I move this around at this point. This menu stays on the screen, and the only way it goes away is if I choose an option or I left-click away from this. Like that. Now, if I right-click and I hold the Alt key, I get the animation menu. And here, of course, you can see now we actually do have quad. And I click away, and I'll show you one more menu here, which is Control. And the Control menu is the modeling menu. Now, depending upon what I have selected here, these menus will change. For instance, I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to say Convert this object to an editable poly. Then I'm going to right-click on it again, and you notice that menu changed. That menu changed because I have more things that I can do to that object now that have been programmed into this menu system, and they're context sensitive. Now, there is another way to bring up menus that doesn't even use the right mouse button. You can program all these menus to have different keystrokes to bring them up. So, for instance, I can point anywhere in the viewport and press the V key, and I get the viewports menu. Now that menu stays on the screen. I don't have to press any right mouse buttons. It stays on the screen until I either click away from it or choose one of these options. It's actually very, very handy. Let me go and do another one of those. I'll do Shift X. Oops, screen capture software seems to... There we go. Shift X brings up the particle effects menu. I can do particles and space warps from here. So those are just a couple of the menus, and I'm going to go show you exactly how many there are now. There are a lot of them, and they're totally customizable. So I'll bring up the customized user interface. This is certainly more than probably MapTools needs. Whoops. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. As you can see, I can customize everything. Keyboard, toolbars, quad menus, colors. So we'll go to quads. We'll look at this box a little closer, and you'll see that on this side here, I'm actually building the menu. Pardon me, I got a little bit of cold here. Been shoveling snow all day. Here's the menu little diagram. So that's the lower right, the upper left, and the lower left. Notice here's where I can put the label, custom label on what I want that menu to be called. Notice some of these say context, which means they're only going to pop up if a certain set of criteria are in accord here. And you can see that these dividers can be placed in here. These menus can nest. And here's the pretty much standard menus that come with the system. You can see that some of these are right mouse button and regular key controls, Alt, Shift, whatnot. And then there are some other ones here like the FX toolkit, which the quad menu shortcut is Shift X, or the viewports, the quad menu shortcut is V. I can create a new one by going here, I can delete one by going here, I can rename one by going here. And so you can build as many of these menus as you'd like. How do you deal with these menus? How do you put things in? Well, it couldn't be simpler. Let's modify this menu here. We'll go into the default one. Down here at the bottom, we'll add a command. Okay, I can look for all the commands that are accessible via the software here. This will show me all the commands. Or I could look for a specific set of commands. For instance, I'll look for the blur scripts. Here they are. Set of commands. And if I want to put one of those into this menu, I'll take the atmosphere pass and I'll just drag it in here, and there we go. Now I'll move over here and I'll right click, and there it is. It's already in the menu. If I don't like where I put it someplace else. Right click. There it is. If I don't like it, I can delete it. I can change its name. I don't have to use the name that the operating system has for that command right now. I can put any name I want in there. I can also attach a user script, so I don't have to use a command from the program. I can use a special script. That's also very powerful. And then again, I have 4 locations. I don't have to use all 4 of them, but their 4 locations are there and available. There's some more things you can do here, but that's pretty much the gist of what's going on here in 3D Studio. It's a pretty complex system, and it's very, very easy, as you saw, to modify and change one of these menus. I think they'd be great for macros. I think they'd be great for scripts. To be able to put them in the exact places and orders that you want, to have a flyout where you would have a choice of 4 separate potential sets of scripts, I think it's a really great idea. Now, whether this can be useful in MapTools, I guess, is up for discussion, which is why I made the video. So I will post this video in the forums, and if anybody wants to discuss it, I will be there to discuss it, and I'm sure anybody else who has any questions can throw them out. So there it is. Right-click menus in MapTools, and we'll start the discussion now. Thanks.